We are celebrating the 40-year anniversary of the '85 Bears winning Super Bowl 20, and tonight fans will be able to hear some incredible stories of that season tonight at the Hard Rock Live Rockford at 8 o'clock. Dan Hampton and Jim McMahon are going to be there, and Dan Hampton is joining us ahead of it tonight. Dan, are you excited to tell these fans these stories that they just want to hear year after year after year?
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's been a few weeks since we played in that game, right? But time has flown by, but it's amazing how precious that memory of that '85 season, and especially the Super Bowl victory for all the Bear fans around not only the nation, but the world. And the one thing about it is, every 10 years, it seems like everybody's almost saying, well, that was great, but what about now? What about now? The really cool part about this anniversary is, for the first time in my lifetime since we played in the Super Bowl, not only I, but a lot of other people believe we have a team that is on a trajectory to possibly go and play and win a Super Bowl again. So it only increases the excitement. And tonight, I think McMahon's, you're going to try to dazzle people with his chalk talk and his knowledge. All I know is Ditka gave him a game plan, and a week later said, "Did you look at it?" And McMahon says, yeah. And he said, "No, you didn't, because it's cartoons. I was testing you." But the bottom line is, we didn't need to worry about game plans back then. And tonight, I'm going to follow one, though. We tell the story of the greatest team in NFL history, and it's set to songs and music, and it's a lot of fun. And we talk about Ditka, the fridge. We talk about everybody. So it's a hoot, and we'll be at the Hard Rock about 8 o'clock tonight.
All right. You just mentioned something about how we feel like now the city of Chicago, the Bears, like they are close to doing what you guys were able to do 40 years ago and no other Bears team has done. When you watch this season, what similarities did you see from the makeup of the team and maybe even Ben Johnson that leads you to believe, all right, we're only a few pieces away from getting to the final Sunday?
Well, and we saw, and you can make a case. They could have beat the Rams very easily, and the Rams could have beat Seattle. So you can go woulda, coulda, shoulda, real easy. All that being said, they've got to get better in a couple of areas. Everybody knows what it is. Got to get better on defense, pass rush, and we've got to be better on offense in all facets. But they came so far, so fast this year. Remember, when the season started, we were a bottom 5 franchise. When the season ended, I believe we're a top 5 franchise. And a lot of that is due to the fact that Ben Johnson knew when he came here, I have a game plan and a mission, and he stayed on it. And our quarterback has improved. The offensive line came together. So many things happened this season that kind of fell into place to enable them to win the NFC North. But the bad thing is, guess what? In Green Bay, they're stewing. In Detroit, they're mad. And Minnesota, they can't wait for next year. So we can't rest where we are, rest on our laurels. We've got to make sure we make preparations and provisions to be better in all phases next year. And who knows? Maybe they can go and win a Super Bowl, which would be the first time in a long time here in Chicago.
Yeah, Ben Johnson said nothing that happens this season carries over to next season. But I think when you look at the head coach, like a lot of the players in the locker room, even Kevin Byard said they definitely got that right. And we had Peggy Kaczynski on the show recently, and she said she sees a lot of similarities between Ditka and Ben Johnson and their personalities, kind of how they're not afraid to push the limits a little bit more. She's like, they can dazzle you at the podium. They can give it right back to you. They kind of have this edge to them as well. Do you see that at all?
Well, we never saw Ditka with his shirt off, but I will tell you, they both are alpha males. They both expect excellence and accountability. That's what you have to be. We haven't had it forever. We've had a bunch of guys trying to be friends with the players. To hell with that. You've got to hold their feet to the fire and say, this is what you have to do if you want to play for me. And those are the parts of the equation that Ben Johnson understands and he brings. The one thing is, again, Ditka had been to a number of Super Bowls with Dallas, so he had a certain belief in, his plan. Ben Johnson, to my knowledge, I don't think he's been a part of a team that's gone to a Super Bowl, but you can tell the reason he came here to Chicago wasn't for the money or a better job. He wants to be a part of a Super Bowl, and I think it's going to happen for him pretty quick.
You mentioned getting better on defense. You're the resident defensive lineman, Hall of Famer. People are like, do you go edge rusher? Do you go defensive tackle? Do you have one way? Are you thinking one way or the other that's more important to this Dennis Allen defense and what they need to bolster on that line?
Every team in the world wants a great inside power rusher. Everybody does. There's a lot of edge rushers, very few inside guys. If you can find one, get one. And, at some point, you can't have just one. The guy on my right's in the Hall of Fame, Richard Dent. The guy on my left is in the Hall of Fame, Steve McMichael. The more, the merrier. So, they have to start making plans to improve that position more than any other. The linebackers could be upgraded. The secondary is going to have some issues. All that being said, it all starts up front. They have to realize that and get better in a hurry.
You know the narratives around quarterback play in Chicago. So when you see Caleb Williams making those fourth quarter comebacks, making the throw to DJ Moore against the Packers, the throw to Cole Kmet to send that game to overtime, do you feel like the Bears can finally rest easy knowing that they have a guy who can be a franchise quarterback?
Cassie, here's the thing. A quarterback, his main job is, we're down and we in the fourth quarter, and I got to find a way to score for us to win. We know that is something that this kid can do in his sleep. He's amazing at that. The other part of it is you want him to play each and every week. He does that. For the first time in my lifetime, we have a quarterback to be reckoned with. Now, can he throw the easy passes a little better and make the simple plays simple? All those things, he'll get better and better and better. His footwork, all of his his in and out of the huddle, all those things. It was a brand new learning experience. But if you take where he is today and all the things he was able to accomplish with this offense and Ben Johnson, if you project him 2, 3, 4 years down the road, I think it's scary.
Yeah, he has that special and magic that people say you just can't coach. The other things are going to come. He learned the new footwork. He was in a new offense in his first year under Ben Johnson, and that is obviously going to improve time after time. And I feel like there's so many moments where you can point to being like, that was his breakout moment. That was his throw of the season. Do you have one that stands out?
I think it's the pass to Cole Kmet that everybody remembers. Yeah, the Green Bay Packer a playoff game win and coming back and the season, seasonal game against the Packers. There's so many, they kind of cloud your mind. But that last one, running backwards and throwing it essentially a 50-yard pass for a touchdown, creates a certain belief, I don't want to say superhuman, but how many times have you ever seen that in your life? I've never seen it. So all the guys in that locker room, when they put their helmet on and go out of the locker room, in the back of their mind, they know if we need it, he's got it. I've seen it. And that's unbelievable, as far as the confidence that you have as a football team and as a player.
Yeah, I'll never forget the cutaway of Sean McVay after that play. His jaw literally dropped, and I don't think he could believe that there was a quarterback that he wasn't coaching that was making throws that he, of course, knows he could probably get that quarterback to make that throw, too. You talk about locker room, and that is one of the resounding things that we heard after the season ended, and I think Cole Kmet really started it, that it was just such a special group of guys, and they would never be together ever again. From your experience being on the 85 Bears, that had so many characters in that locker room, how important is that to get to the end game?
Kind of bizarre in a way. After the 84 finale out in San Francisco, we lose. And then we're on the 4-hour flight back. I went to every player and got in their face and said, look me in the eye, make your mind up. Next year, we will go to the Super Bowl. And you know what? By the time we got off the plane, we hardly ever seen each other again because, everybody went their own way. Todd Bell and Al Harris didn't show up that season. They missed out. But you know what? At the end of the day, the rest of the team said, we will not be deterred. We are on a mission, and that's the only focus that we have. And at the end of the day, this is what this team needs to do. Because guess what? Like I said, Detroit, Green Bay, they're making plans right now to topple the Bears. And we have to not only be prepared, but we have to be better than what we were this year. We snuck up on a lot of people. We got lucky in a lot of very close games. Next year, you can't count on that luck. The bottom line is, can we get better? Will we get better? Only the players can control that.
All right, you keep mentioning Green Bay. They're definitely going to want revenge over the Bears. Did you feel any type of way about Ben Johnson's message in the locker room that they made public?
Absolutely. And here's the other thing. Green Bay, they were embarrassed by the Bears this year, and it's been a long time since I can say that. The other thing is, Detroit beat the Bears twice, but they were last in the division. They don't like, their plight. And we know that Minnesota has had a whole bunch of hell to pay. They fired their general manager. Everybody in the NFC North is in disarray because of what Ben Johnson was able to do this season. They won't forget, and they're going to carry an agenda next year and when they come in and play the Bears.
All right, Seahawks, Patriots, Sunday. Who are you picking?
Tell of two quarterbacks. All season long, Drake May was a MVP candidate, and he struggled mightily in the playoffs. Whereas Seattle, everybody kept waiting for Darnold to fall. He has played two brilliant games in the playoffs. I'm going with Seattle.
Seems like that is the consensus, as they are the favorite in this game as well. Dan Hampton, we appreciate your time. You can hear untold stories on the 40-year anniversary of the '85 Bears Super Bowl win tonight at Hard Rock Live Rockford at 8 o'clock.